Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shalom, shalom, and good evening to the whole house, the whole Ba'if of Yasha'al. All 12 tribes worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this Kadush evening. Peace and blessings, shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Shalom and good evening to the elder brother Yahudah. Shalom and good evening to the younger brother Ephraim. Shalom and good evening to the former stranger, the former foreigner, who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance, but having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach, and whereby having been engrafted into the olive tree, who is Yahushua HaMashiach, who is Yasha'al, and whereby now becoming fellow citizens of the house of Yasha'al, and now whereby becoming privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shalom, shalom, peace and blessings. Shalom and barakut to you and your entire house, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening, to the four corners of the earth, from my house to yours. Shalom, peace and blessings. Shalom and barakut to you. Barak Yahuwah. To those of you who are joining us via YouTube, who will view this teaching later on, once again, we are humbled. We are humble and excited that the Master has once again sent you our way, that once again there are a plethora of YouTube channels that you could be watching. We are grateful that the Master, and humbled that the Master has sent you our way to spend Yahuwah's remnant, to spend our midweek gathering with us. Yahuwah's remnant midweek gathering with us, albeit you'll hear it later on, but we are nevertheless grateful that the Master has moved upon your heart to spend Yahuwah's remnant midweek gathering with us. And once again, for those of you who would desire to join us live for either our midweek gatherings or our Shabbat gatherings, you can find our contact information. It is located within the channel description. You will find an email address there where you can email us if you desire to fellowship with us live, either during our midweek gatherings or on the Shabbat day. Nevertheless, shalom and good evening to you. Welcome to Yahuwah's Remnant Midweek Gathering. I am Dawood ban Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha, which is to say wife, Asher Yah.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, shalom to you and your house. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Well, without further delay, the journey and the preparation continues. Indeed, the Master has impressed upon our minds and our hearts that this is a season of preparation. This is a season of separation, indeed, where he is going about the business of separating his people. There is a great separation going on in the midst of the earth. While here now in the wilderness of the nations, there is a great separation going on in the midst of us, where he's separating our sheep from goats, where he is separating the rebels from amongst us, and whereby how he is going about the business now of sealing his people with the seal of the living Elohim. That is to say, his name written upon our foreheads. That is to say, sealing us with his Ruach HaKadosh, whereby causing us to become Nazarene, which is to say branches of the branch, Hanatsah, Yahushua HaMashiach, whereby causing us to be his bride, his wife, as Kua was born of Adam, as Kua was taken from the side of Adam, we, his people, true Yahudym, are taken from the side of the second Adam. We are taken from his side, and as we are taken from his side, we become branches of the branch. We become Nazarene. Nazarene meaning branches. And as Nazarene then, we are visible representations of him on earth. Indeed, as he is, we are. As he is, we are. Indeed, as Nazarene, we are his counterpart. We are his Azah Nagab. We are his helpmeet. We are his bride. We are his wife. And so, as his bride, as his wife, as Nazarene, as branches, having been born from him, having been taken from his side, we now are to do the same works, the very same works that he demonstrated upon the earth when he walked the earth. The Master has shown us that indeed, that this is a season unlike any other in the history of the world, unlike any other. Indeed, this season is even far greater than the time before the flood, because there are far more people on the earth now than there were then. And because there are far more people on the earth now has become more wicked than it has ever been in its history. And during the time before the flood, there were indeed 8 righteous beings that were delivered, but there were a little bit over 800,000 men and women who were consumed via the floodwaters, not counting the Nephilim, which were killed, and the half-breeds of the animal kind that were killed. But there were 800,000 mankind, men and women, that were killed during the waters, or that were judged judged via the waters of the great flood. But the Master wants us to understand that what's coming upon the earth in this season is far greater, and is a far greater magnitude than that, because not only is there more people on the earth now, but the earth has grown more wicked. The earth has grown more wicked. And so, not unlike Noah and Methuselah, the Master has given the task to his bride, to his Nazarene, to his branches, to true Yahudym, to proclaim the word of repentance and to be lights in the midst of the nations, so that perhaps the nations will hear and see and understand, that they will see the light protruding from us, are emanating from us, and they would perhaps be drawn to that light as moths are drawn to candles, and that they would perhaps be kept from the hour of trial. The Master has shown us that in this season, he is coming to get his elder daughter first. Yahudah indeed goes first. Yahudah was never divorced. Yahudah was never divorced. Yahudah was put away, but Yahudah was never divorced. Ephraim, on the other hand, was divorced in the year 722 BCE. He was divorced, and he remains divorced until this day. Hear him. Hear him. He remains divorced until this day, even if Ephraim repents and turns and accepts Yahushua HaMashiach, whereby being engrafted into the olive tree. Hear him. In accordance with Romans 11, he cannot boast above the natural branches, because the natural branches were never cut off. The natural branches, Yahudah, was never cut off. Yahudah was never divorced. And so when Ephraim repents and turns and engrafts back into the olive tree through the branch, through Yahushua HaMashiach, he engrafts into Yahudah, whom the staff shall not depart from him, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. Ephraim will not be restored back to covenant until after the great distress. As a whole, hear him, as a whole, Ephraim will not be restored back to covenant until after the great distress. And so even if you nations, Ephraim, if you come back, you engraft into Yahudah. And so it is important now that you understand who is true Yahudah. What does a Yahudym look like? We're not talking about genealogy here. On Yahuwah's remnant, we don't talk about genealogy. We talk about the spirit and truth. We speak ruach and truth. You will hear no falsehood here. You will not hear the message of genealogy here. Your genealogy means nothing. Your genealogy is doo-doo in the nostrils of the Master. You must be born of the master. You must be branches. True Yahudym. True Yahudym are not serene. True Yahudym look like the master. True Yahudym. Where you find true Yahudah, you will find the priesthood. Where you find the priesthood, the Kahanah, you will find the anointing. The anointing is the seal of the office of a priest, of a Kahan. This is true Yahudah. This is true Yahudah. And it is Yahudah, the elder daughter, whom is coming to gather first shortly, in accordance with Torah. Yes, it is. In accordance with the Torah, he is coming to get the elder daughter first. But elder daughter, as the master has been speaking, we must be found worthy. We must be found walking as Yahudym. We must be found doing work. We must be found working while it is still day, because night comes when no man can work. We must be found doing the works of Torah. We must be found well doing. But as the master has shown us now, the true works of Torah are not of flesh and blood. Flesh and blood cannot do the true works of the Torah. In order to do the true works of Torah, we must become living Torahs. And the only way to become living Torah is to have been born of the Torah, is having been born of Yahushua HaMashiach, the second Adam, as his bride, is having been taken out of his side to become branches. So if indeed we are branches, then as he is, we are. And as he is, we are, then we can do the very same works of the Torah, which are not of the earth, that he did. The Torah is not of this earth. The Torah did not come from earth. The Torah came from Shamayim to the earth. The Torah is Ruach. The Torah is Ruach. And the true works of the Torah are Ruach and truth. The true works of Torah are Ruach and truth. And so the master has embarked us upon a journey looking at the works of our master, which were Torah, which was all in accordance with the Torah, which was not of flesh and blood. He came to show Yahudah, true Yahudah, not serene, what it looks like to be a Yahudi, what it looks like to be a Nazarene, and what the true works of the Torah look like, and which cannot again be accomplished in the flesh. This is important. This is very important to understand, so that we understand that in order to be considered Yahudym, who is going first, Yahudah is going first, we must be walking as Yahudym. We must be walking as Yahudi men and women. We must have this character and this nature, which is the character and the nature of Yahusha, which is the character and nature of Yahuwah. Yahusha being a Yahudi man, coming in flesh as a Yahudi man, coming to his own, coming to Yahudah, to show Yahudah how to be lights in the midst of the nations, how to walk as a Yahudi man, how to walk as branches, how to walk as extensions of him, how to walk as extensions of the Father, how to walk and live as visible images of the invisible Elohim. We must be found well doing, Yahudah. You desire to be saved from the hour of trial. We must be found well doing. The master is calling for us to grow up, to no longer be children, to understand now that the true works of Torah is not flesh and blood. The true work, because Torah is not flesh and blood. Torah is Ruach. The true works of the Torah is Ruach. It's Ruach. He's calling us to walk as adults, to be adults, because again, he mentioned earlier that during the flood waters, only 800,000 men and women perished. There are billions at stake now. Hear him. There are billions of lives that are at stake right now, that are going to be destroyed in the proverbial flood waters that are soon to come upon this earth. But they won't be flood waters. I said proverbial flood waters. This is going to be the fire, the proverbial floodwaters of the great distress, in which if those days are not shortened, then no flesh is going to remain on this earth. Hear him. It's in the text. If those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain on this earth, either of man or beast. If those days are not shortened, no flesh are going to remain. Even life in the oceans are going to die because the waters are going to turn to blood. If those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. If those days are not shortened, the birds are not going to remain. The fish of the sea, the whales and the animals, the beasts of the field and mankind, if those days are not shortened, no flesh are going to remain, just like the proverbial floodwaters destroyed our flesh in the waters of the flood during the time of Noah. If those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. And so we have now a special opportunity to do the works of the Torah, the true works of the Torah, that Methuselah and Noah walked in, and that our righteous fathers walked in, and that Yahushua HaMashiach walked in, and as his taught ones, the Talmudim, as they walked in the true works of the Torah. We have a unique opportunity in this season to walk in latter rain. Yes, to walk in latter rain, to walk in uncommon signs and wonders. Because this is an unprecedented time. These are uncommon times, and uncommon signs and wonders are needed. Again, the master spoke just a brief hint of what it could look like, of walking in the church service where there's a funeral and a body is laying there with all the organs having been taken out and all the blood being drained from the body and the tongue being glued to the roof of the mouth, and the master using us to raise that person from the dead. That's uncommon. That's uncommon. It would be uncommon to walk into a morgue or into a cemetery and declare, get up in the name of Yahushua. That's uncommon. To walk into a hospital and everybody in a hospital bed gets up healed. That's uncommon. It would be uncommon to stand in the midst of a Category 5 hurricane and tell it to hush. That's uncommon. It would be uncommon to stand on a beach with a tsunami approaching and tell it to go back to its rest. Shalom, be still. That's uncommon. But you can't be children walking like this. You got to be extensions of the branch. We've got to be true Yahudah in this season. We've got to be Nazarene, being visible images of the invisible Elohim, doing the greater works of the Torah that he has called us to, because these are unprecedented times and there are billions of lives that are at stake. Billions of lives that are at stake. So we're called in this season to walk as Yahudym, to walk as adults, and to no longer walk as children. If we are doing so and found well doing, he will reward us when he comes according to our works. But if we're not doing so, then he's going to command his messengers to bind that wicked servant hand and foot and cast them into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. We can no longer afford to be children. We must be adults. There are billions of lives that are at stake. We must be adults. And if we desire to escape the hour of trial, we must walk as Yahudym. We must walk as Nazarene. We must walk as adults. It's very exciting news to understand that Yahudah goes first. But it's a very sobering fact to understand that not all who say that they are Yahudym are Yahudym. It's a very sobering fact to look at the 144,000 and to look at the tribe of Yahudah and to see that there are only 12,000 that are going. Although all that who are attached to Yahudah, both of the natural vine, of the natural branches, and of the branches who have been grafted in, all who are attached to Yahudah are indeed considered to be Yahudym. But many of you know that there are many who consider themselves to be Yahudym. And indeed, the master has shown us that they are not. That they must fit a prerequisite, that they must look like the Messiah. They must look like him. We must look like him. We must act like him. We must speak like him. We must walk like him. He is the example. He is the example of which he is the author. He is the author and the finisher of our belief. And he is the example of whom we must follow, of whom we all must walk like. We must look like him if we desire to be counted worthy to escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon the earth. We must be living Torahs. We must do the work of Torah. And so if you are taking notes this night, the title of this teaching again is Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 63. Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 63. Walk as Yahudym. Walk as Yahudym. The Master has sent me by this night to share with his people, to whomever has eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, that we cannot do the true works of the Torah that the Master did. We cannot do the true works of the Torah which are required of us. Again, if someone is hungry, you feed them. But what if there is no food? You're still required to feed them. You're still required to feed them. If someone needs clothing and there's no clothing around, what do? You're still required to clothe them. If someone is thirsty and there is no water around, we are still required to give them drink. This is the Torah. The Torah is immovable. It's unchangeable. The Torah is the great equalizer and the great judge of all flesh. The Torah does not make any distinction. The Torah does not care if the right circumstances are around. The Torah doesn't make the stipulation. It doesn't matter if you have water on hand. You're to give them water. You're to give them drink. In the words of the Messiah, when the crowds were there after they had been there 3 days and he wanted to feed them, but there wasn't enough food to feed them, and he gave the instructions to his Talmudim to feed them. You feed them, because Torah still has to be satisfied. They've still got to eat. You feed them. So what do you do then? We still must operate in Torah. We still must do Torah. And thus the true works of the Torah are not of this earth. Torah itself did not come from this earth. Torah came from Shamayim. But again, to do the true works of the Torah, you must have belief. You must have belief. To do the true works of the Torah, which are the weightier matters of the Torah, the right ruling, the compassion, and the belief. We must have belief. We must have belief. If we do not have belief, we are operating from our flesh, and we cannot do the true works of the Torah. If we have not been born from the side of the second Adam, we cannot do the true works of the Torah. You're operating from your flesh, and you cannot do the true works of the Torah. The rubber is getting ready to hit the road. Yes, it is. Look around you. The rubber is getting ready to hit the road, and we are going to be required, as we are required right now, to do the true works of Torah. To do the true works of Torah. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. To do the true works of Torah. You're down to one bowl of rice left, little one. One bowl of rice and one can of beans. Ain't no food on the shelves. You know, you on lockdown. What are you going to do, little one? What are you going to do? I'm convinced that like all Yahu and with the widow coming to her who had a few sticks, getting ready to make a fire. She had a little meal left and a little oil. And she was getting ready to eat and fix some food for her and her son, and they were going to die. That man of Yahudah came up. He said, give me something to drink, give me a little morsel to drink and a little morsel to eat. And she said, all I have is this. He said, I hear you, but give me mine first. Give me mine first. And as Yahudah lives, your meal and your all shall not run out as long as I'm here. As long as I'm here. See, he was full grown, little one. He was full grown. The Master's calling us to this. The rubber is getting ready to meet the road, and he's calling Yahudym to walk as Yahudym. But we cannot do the true works of the Torah. We cannot do the true works of the Torah. Even that was Torah. She feeding that man, that was Torah. And when she obeyed the Torah, she was taken care of. Neither her nor her son suffered without food, because she obeyed Torah. And she fed the hungry. and she put others before herself, and she fed the hungry. And because she obeyed Torah and allowed the true works of the Torah to be accomplished, her food did not run out. Her oil did not run out. This is the true works of the Torah. This is the true works of the Torah, which cannot be accomplished without belief. Without further delay, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, searching for the ancient path, part 63. Walk as Yahudym. We must do the true works of the Torah. But the true works of the Torah cannot be accomplished in the flesh. It can only be accomplished in Ruach and in truth. Turn with us to Numbers, Bamatba, chapter 13. Numbers chapter 13. Bamatba, chapter 13. Numbers, Bamatba, chapter 13. Numbers, Bamatba, chapter 13. We're going to read it in its entirety. We're going to read this in its entirety. Numbers, Bamatba, chapter 13 in its entirety. Beginning at verse 1. Read for us, little one.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, Send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Yasharal. Send one man from each tribe of their fathers, every one a leader among them. And by the mouth of Yahuwah, Moshe sent them from the wilderness of Paran, all of them men who were heads of the children of Yasharal. And these were their names: from the tribe of Ra'aban, Shammau, son of Zakur; from the tribe of Shammau, Shaphat, son of Ka'ur; from the tribe of Yahudah, Caleb, son of Yapanah; from the tribe of Yishakar, Yagal, son of Yahusah; from the tribe of Ephraim, Husha, son of Nun; from the tribe of Benjamin, Paltal, son of Raphu; from the tribe of Zabulon, Gadaal, son of Sadu; from the tribe of Yahusah; from the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, son of Susha; from the tribe of Dan, Amaal, son of Gamali; from the tribe of Asher, Shathir, son of Makaal; from the tribe of Naphtali, Nakabu, son of Wapsi; from the tribe of Gad, Gaual, son of Makah. These are the names of the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land. And Moshe called Husha, the son of Nun, Yahusha. And Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said to them, Go up here into the south, and go up to the mountains, and see what the land is like, and the people who dwell in it, whether strong or weak, whether few or many, and whether the land they dwell in is good or evil, whether the cities they inhabit are in the camps or strongholds, or whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are forests there or not. And you shall be strong and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season of the first fruits of grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Sin.
Hear him. They went up. They went up. They went up a mountain. They went up. Come on, read.
As far as Rakub, near the entrance of Kamath.
Mm-hmm.
And they went up through the south and came to Kabroon.
And they went up. Read.
And Kaaman, Sashiah, and Talmud, the descendants of Anak, were there. Now Kabroon had been built 7 years before Zoan and Mitzrayim. And they came to the Wadi Ashkul and cut down from there a branch with one cluster of grapes. And they bore it between two of them on a pole, also of the pomegranates and of the figs. That place was called the Wadi Ashkul, because of the cluster which the men of Yasharal cut down from there. And they returned from spying out of the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moshe and Aharon and all the congregation of the children of Yasharal in the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh. And they brought back word to them and to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they reported to him and said, We went to the land where you sent us, and truly it flows with milk and honey.
Truly it flows with milk and honey. Sure, it's truly, because the master said, It flows with milk and honey, and I'm giving you this land. This is my promise to you. This is my promise to your fathers, and my promise to you that this land flowing with milk and honey, I give it to you and to your descendants. So truly, this is the truth, because the mouth of the master spoke it. Come on, read, little one.
And this is its fruit. But the people who dwell in the land are strong.
But the people, now, despite what the master has spoken, this is your land. I promised it to you and I promised it to your fathers and to you and to your descendants forever. And truly it is flowing with milk and honey, because the master had already said it. But, read.
And the cities are walled very great. And we saw the descendants of Anak there too.
And we saw the descendants of Anak there.
The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, while the Katites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the banks of the Yarden. And Caleb silenced the people before Masha and said, let us go up at once and take possession.
Hear him. Hear Caleb of the tribe of Yahudah. Hear Caleb of the tribe of Yahudah. Let us go up at once. Let us go up at once and take this land, because the master has given it to us. Listen to Caleb of the tribe of Yahudah. I was going to share this later, but I need to share this right now, because the master just brought it to my remembrance. See, there are many who are concerned, who are concerned with genealogy. They're concerned with genealogy, mother, about who is Yahudah and who is not. They're concerned with genealogy. But very few knew that Caleb wasn't a Yahudym by birth. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. See, the name Caleb, little one, means dog. Yes, it does. It means dog. Yeah, the little dogs can eat the bread too. It means dog. But if you do a little bit more research on his father, Yafuneh, or Yafunah, you do the genealogy search, you will find that he was an Edomite. He was an Idume. Yes, but Caleb was doing the work of a Yahudi, and thus being engrafted into the tribe of Yahudah, he was considered a Yahudym. Yes, he was. You do the research. You ain't got to take my word for it. Some of you so-called Hebrews have already contested about this. It's in the text. Go do the research. Do a genealogy search. He is from Edom. Caleb's father was an Edomite, was an Idume. Yes, he was. But he was considered to be from the tribe of Yahudah, because he acted like a Yahudi man. He acted like a Yahudi man. And you who are attached to Yahudah, look at this example. You must act like Yahudah. If you want to be considered a Yahudi, if you call yourself a Nazarene, you must act like Yahudah. You must act like Nazarene. You must look like the Messiah. Caleb was an engrafted stranger. He was from the seed of Esau, Ashu. But he was considered here to be from the tribe of Yahudah, because he was engrafted in and he acted like a Yahudi man. Let us go up. Is that what I be saying, little one?
Yes.
Let us go up. Come on, read.
For we are certainly able to overcome it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up.
But the men who went up with him. See, that's why Yahudah goes first. Didn't Caleb speak first? Is he not from the tribe of Yahudah? Yahudah goes first. Let's go up. Let's go to Mount Zion. Let us go up. You see, Caleb had belief, though. Yes, he did. Caleb had unwavering belief, steadfast. He was trustworthy. He had belief. Let us go up. Yahudah spoke up first. Let us go up, full of belief. I don't care about these Anachim, about these Raphaim, about these descendants of the giants, about these descendants of the Nephilim. I don't care about them. Let us go up. I don't care if we are as grasshoppers to them. Let us go up and fight, because our master is with us. You see, this is the true works of the Torah, little one. You see, the Torah is the great judge of all the earth. He is the great judge of all the earth. Torah, being Yahuwah, being Yahusha, is the great judge of all the earth, and he judges unrighteousness. And so he declared that I'm going to use this righteous people here, called Yashar, which means to rule with Elohim. I'm going to choose and use this righteous people to be my Shabbat, to be my rod, to be my punishing rod, to subdue and to judge the earth, to institute right ruling on the face of the earth. I'm going to use my righteous rod, my Shabbat, called Yasharal. And this was a wicked people, little one. This was a wicked people. And so the master wanted to use this righteous nation to go in as his Shabbat, as his punishing rod of what he uses to walk to and fro in the earth and go in and establish right ruling in the midst of all that uncleanness and all that unrighteousness. But the thing is, little one, see, they were going to have to operate in the true works of the Torah, because we talking about a giant people. I remember, little one, and you saw the same video. We saw a video not long ago of purportedly that, and I believe it, by the way, that some specially trained special forces soldiers in the desert of Afghanistan ran into a giant, a 13-foot giant who was over, I think he was 1,200 pounds, over 1,200 pounds and 13 feet tall. The first patrol, this giant, he slew all of them with nothing but a spear. He slew all of them and ate them and devoured them. Yes, cannibalism, it comes from the Nephilim, from back of old. Read the book. From back of old, they started to devour the flesh and to drink the blood. But and their descendants are still doing the same thing this day. But he destroyed the first patrol with nothing but a spear. He destroyed them, specially trained, special forces soldiers. He destroyed the first patrol. And the second patrol went out looking for them. And they encountered the same giant. And it took these specially trained men with high-powered rifles, all of them centrally locating, aiming at his head to take him down, to bring this giant down, specially trained men. But little one, see, our ancestors, all they had was bow and arrows. All they had was spears. All they had was swords. And they went to fight not just one giant, but a whole nation of giants. But a whole nation of them. See, this is the true works of the Torah. See, the Torah is right ruling. That's right ruling. But to establish right ruling on a nation of giants, you've got to be operating in the supernatural. You've got to be doing the true works of the Torah, and the master has got to be with you. He has got to be with you. So Caleb from the tribe of Yahudah, who was truthfully descended from Yahudym, from Edom, said, let us go up. I don't care about their stature and their size. Like sovereign Dawood, who was also from the tribe of Yahudah. I don't care about this uncircumcised Philistine. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he would reproach the armies of the living Elohim? That wasn't flesh and blood that killed Goliath. That was Ruach. That was operating in the true works of the Torah. How can a little boy throw a stone and sink into the head of a giant? This is doing the true works of the Torah. This is true right ruling. This is true righteousness. This is what it looks like to be a Shabbat. To be his rod, his punishing rod of which he rightly rules and subdues the nations and brings them under the bond of covenant. So Caleb said, let us go up. Yahudah spoke first. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah spoke first. Let us go up. Yahudah, hear him. You ain't going up unless you have the belief of Caleb. Hear him. None of us are going up unless we have the belief of Caleb. We're going to get to this a little bit more. But none of us are going up to Mount Zion unless we have the belief of Caleb and unless we're operating in the true works of the Torah like Caleb operated in. Which again means dog. You can look it up. Look up the word Caleb. It means dog. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And you do the genealogy search. He came from Yahudym. He was an Alumi. He was an Edomite. But because he had grafted into Yahudah and he acted like a Yahudi man, he was Yahudah. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Oh, the master's almost like he got a sense of humor, ain't he, little one? Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, read.
We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we.
Uh-huh.
And they gave the children of Yasharal an evil report of the land.
Yeah, see, that's why Ephraim coming last. That's why Ephraim coming last and Yahudah's going first. That's why Ephraim is going last. Come on, read.
Which they had spied out, saying, The land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants.
Eating up its inhabitants. They still eat the flesh, devour the flesh. Eating up its inhabitants. Read.
And all the people whom we saw in it are men of great size.
Yeah.
And we saw there the Nephilim, sons of Anak of the Nephilim. And we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes.
And we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes. Ephraim, when you find an Ephraim, he'll act like he has some belief until the rubber hits the fan, until the rubber hits the road. He or she will act like they have belief until the rubber hits the road. And Ephraim is good though. It's very good at counterfeiting. They very good at faking. Yes, they are. They very good. They very good. But when the rubber hits the road, when this pit is open and when these demons come up out the pit and they begin to sting them, they begin to sting men, and the pain is going to be so excruciating that men are going to pray to die, but death is going to flee them. We're going to know, although many of us already know who are Ephraim. We're going to know then who are his and who are not. Come on, read, little one.
And so we were in their eyes.
And so we were in their eyes. But Caleb, Yahudah, a Yahudi man, said, no, let's go up. I don't care about how big they are. Let's go up. Let's go up. The master himself has given us this land. And the master himself, he fights for us. Let us go up and claim what is ours. And Yahudah wanted to go first. Yahudah was ready to go. But the rest, because of unbelief, would not go up. Would not go up. The rest, because they would not operate in the true works of the Torah, they would not go up. They would not go up because of unbelief and because of fear. Either you believe or you're afraid. If you fear is the absence of belief. Belief is the absence of fear. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Caleb said, let us go up. A Yahudi man, let us go up and take what is rightfully ours. And this is the only way, Yahudah, that we're getting up to Mount Zion. If we're walking in the same way, doing the true works of the Torah, which can only be accomplished through belief and which can only be accomplished via Ruach. Because Torah is Ruach. It is not of the flesh. It is not of the flesh. The flesh cannot fight and defeat giants who were probably over 13 feet tall. Cannot fight and defeat these giants with just swords and spears and shields and bows and arrows. The flesh cannot defeat them. The master must be with us. And we must have belief. And we must operate in Ruach. We must operate in Ruach as our father, Caleb. Come on, read, little one. Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14, verses 1 through 38. We are called Yahudah in this season to walk as Yahudym, which is to walk as Nazarim, which is to do the true works of the Torah. Torah not coming from the earth, coming from above. And as Torah is from above, we must be born from above in order to do the true works of the Torah. In order to operate like Caleb. And if we desire to go up to Mount Zion, we must operate as Caleb. We must operate as a true Yahudi man, true Yahudi women, as true Nazarim. Come on, little one, read.
Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Yasharal grumbled against Masha and against Aharon. Because
they were afraid, because they were unbelieving. The master himself promised that land to them. He promised that land to our fathers and to our fathers' children and to our children's children forever. He promised it to us. And so he himself said, I promised this land to you, now go take it. Go take it. And Yahudah was the only one that took the challenge. And see, it is Yahudah who is going back to the land first. Yes, we are. Provided we're walking like Caleb. It is Yahudah who is going back to the land first. As the tents of Dawood are going to be saved first. And as it is written in the text, Yahudah is going to be found doing what? Fighting in the land. Fighting in the land. Not by flesh. Not by flesh. Look at Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. This is not flesh and blood. This is Ruach. This is Ruach. These are those fighting in Ruach. This is not flesh and blood. This is not physical. We must be found walking like the Messiah. We must be found walking like our father, Caleb, in order to go up to the mountain and to be the first to enter back into our land. We must be found well doing the true works of the Torah, having belief and obedience, and doing the true works of the Torah, having been born from above, having been taken from the side of our master, as Kua was taken from the side of Adam, being his counterpart, being a visible image of him, being his representative here on earth. Come on, read, little one.
And all the congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Mitzrayim.
Listen what unbelief will do. Listen to what unbelief will do. And if you don't believe, if we don't believe, if we're not walking like grown folk, like Caleb. Now, Caleb was a man. Caleb was a man, full grown. He was a man. And if we're not walking like him, then we're going to fear like them. And we're not going up the mountain. We will not go up. Come on, read, little one.
Or if only we had died in the wilderness. And why is Yahuwah bringing us to this land to fall by the sword? That our wives and children should become prey. Would it not be better for us to turn back to Mitzrayim?
Listen, that great separation that is going on in the midst of the earth, another separator is belief. Yes, it is. Another separator is belief. Yes, it is. Because if you believe Yahudah, you will obey. You will obey without question. You will not question the master's commands. If you believe, you will obey in Ruach and in truth. And you will do the true works of the Torah. If you say you believe, you will obey. And you will do the true works of the Torah. This is another great separator that is separating his people in the midst of the earth. Belief. Belief and unbelief. And here in the wilderness of the nations, belief is separating his people again. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And belief is going to separate his people. Because even Yahudah is going to see some things that are going to cause you to fear. That are going to cause us to want to fear. But either we're going to walk in the true works of the Torah and believe the report of the master, or we're going to fear. And if we fear, like them, we're going to perish in the wilderness of the nations. Do you hear him? Do you hear him? If we fear, we're going to perish in the wilderness of the nations just like them. We've got to be like Caleb. I don't care how big they are. Let us go up. Let us go up. The master has given it to us. Let us go up to Mount Zion. Come on, read, little one.
And they said to each other, let us appoint a leader, and let us turn back to Mitzrayim. Then Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Yasharal. And Yahusha, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Yapanu,
listen,
who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments. And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Yasharal, saying, listen, the land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If Yahuwah has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land and give it to us. A land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahuwah, nor fear the people of the land. For they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them. And Yahuwah is with us. Do not fear them.
Do not fear them. Now here we find Caleb from the tribe of Yahudah, and Yahusha from the tribe of Ephraim. And Yahusha from the tribe of Ephraim. This is a shadow. This is a shadow of indeed Yahusha leading Ephraim back into the land. Yahusha leading Ephraim back into the land. Indeed, as Caleb was the first to speak up. And then Yahudah and Caleb spoke up. This is a shadow of Yahudah. This is a shadow of Yahudah and Ephraim being one in our land again. This is a shadow. But do not look past that it was Caleb who spoke first. It was Caleb who spoke first. Do not look past this, because Yahudah indeed goes first. But indeed, after the appointed time has passed, Yahudah and Ephraim will be joined, because those coming out of the great distress, they will have overcome. They will have overcome. They will have not bowed. They will have not taken the mark of the beast. They will have overcome. They will have been washed. They will have washed their robes and the fires of the great distress, and have been cleansed and been prepared for marriage, to become one woman again. The woman of our husband, of our Aish, the second Adam, Yahusha, HaMashiach. But this is a shadow. This is a shadow of the two sticks becoming one, of entering into the land as one house, as one nation, as one people. Come on, read.
But all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Then the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the tent of appointment before all the children of Yasharal. And Yahuwah said to Masha, how long shall I be scorned by these people? And how long shall I not be trusted by them? With all the signs which I have done in their midst.
With all the signs which I've done in their midst, and they still do not believe me. And they still do not believe me. Come on, read.
Let me strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. And Masha said to Yahuwah, then the Mitzrites shall hear it, for by your power you brought these people up from their midst. And they shall say to the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, Yahuwah, are in the midst of these people, that you, Yahuwah, are seen eye to eye, and that your cloud stands above them, and you go before them in a column of cloud by day, and in a column of fire by night. Now if you shall kill these people as one man, then the nations which have heard of your report shall speak, saying, because Yahuwah was not able to bring this people to the land which he swore to give them, therefore he slew them in the wilderness. And now I pray, let the power of Yahuwah be great, as you have spoken, saying, Yahuwah is patient and of great loving commitment, forgiving crookedness and transgression, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. Please forgive the crookedness of this people, according to the greatness of your loving commitment, as you have forgiven this people from Mitzrayim even until now. And Yahuwah said, I shall forgive according to your word. But truly as I live, and all the earth is
truly as I live, read.
And all the earth is filled with the esteem of Yahuwah.
And all the earth is filled with the esteem of Yahuwah.
For none of these men who did not believe
are going up to my mountain. None of these men who did not believe, read.
Who have seen my esteem
and signs, read.
Which I did in Mitzrayim.
And
in the wilderness.
And
have tried me now these 10 times. And have disobeyed my voice. Shall see the land of which I swore. To their fathers.
Yahudah, if you do not believe and operate in the true works of the Torah, we are not going up to his mountain, and we will not be the first to enter into his land, where we will be found fighting, and where those who say they are Yahudym and who are not, where he would cause them to come and worship before us. To do the true works of the Torah, we must have belief. We must have belief. Belief is the foundation. Without belief, it is impossible to please him. Before we can come to him, we must first believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them who diligently seek him. If we believe, if we truly believe, we will obey and we will operate in the true works of the Torah. If we truly believe. And if we truly believe and are found well doing the true works of the Torah, like Caleb was willing to do, then we will go up. We will be found well doing. We will be given white robes and be given a song that no one else can sing. We will see the face of the Lamb, and we will be the first to enter into the land. If we are found well doing, if we are found being servants, being obedient, doing the true works of the Torah, which is not of flesh and which is not of blood. Come on, read, little one.
Nor any of those who scorn me see it.
They shall not see the land. Come on.
But my servant Caleb.
But my servant Caleb, a Yahudym man, the one who said, let us go up. The one who spoke up first. Let us go up. But my servant Caleb, read.
Because he has a different ruach in him.
Because, oh, little one. Yes. Has not the master been speaking that there's a great separation going on in this earth? That either you are born from above or you are born from below. Either you are the seed of the master or you're the seed of the wicked one. Either you have the seal of the living Elohim upon your forehead or you have the seal of the wicked one. He had a different root. And Yahudah in this season, little one, has a different root about them. Has a true anointing about them. But my servant Caleb, he has a different root about him. Read, little one.
And has followed me completely.
Oh, we're going to come back to this. And have followed me completely. Not hesitating. Not turning to the left or to the right. But my servant Caleb has followed me completely. Oh, I don't want to get ahead of myself, little one. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I have to. We're going to read it again, but I have to. Those ones on Mount Zion, little one. It is said of those that these are the ones that followed the Lamb's voice wherever he led them. They follow him completely. They are Yahudym, and they follow him completely. Completely, because they have a different root about them. They bear the seal of the living Elohim. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. They bear the seal of the living Elohim. And they are stubborn folk, little one. They're stubborn folk. They will not let go of his promises, although they're shaken some days. Although they're physically shaken some days, little one. Although they have bad days some days, little one. They're stubborn folk, though. They refuse to let go. They refuse like our father, Yahudah. No, I will not let go until you barak me. They are stubborn type of folk, little one. They have a different root about them. A different root about them. And their fruit tells the story of who they are. Their fruit tells the story of who they truly are. Come on, read, little one.
I shall bring into the land where he went, and his seed shall inherit it.
And my servant Caleb, who has a different root about him, he shall enter, and his seed shall enter. Come on, read.
Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are dwelling in the valley, turn back tomorrow and set out into the wilderness by the way of the Sea of Reeds.
Now you notice, he just mentioned Caleb here. He ain't mentioned Yahusha yet. Has he not, little one? He hasn't mentioned Yahusha, the son of Nun. He's only mentioned Caleb here. Understand the context. Yahudah does go first. Yahudah goes first. If we're walking like our father Caleb, he said to him and his descendants shall enter into the land. And to his descendants, the descendants of Yahudah, we're going up to the mountain first. And we will enter into the land first, provided that we're walking like him. Having a different root about us. Having the seal of the living Elohim. Walking and looking like Hamashiach. Being branches, not serene. Being true Yahudym. having been born from him and taken from his side, doing the true works of the Torah in this season, so that we're found well doing, and so that lives, the billions of lives that are at stake. Now, we can't save one life, but the Master can save lives through us. And there are billions of lives that are at stake in this world. Billions of lives. And the Master will not hold us guiltless if we're not found well doing. If we're not found doing the work when he comes. Come on, read, little one.
And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, how long shall this evil congregation have this grumbling against me? I have heard the grumblings with the children of Yasharal are grumbling against me. Say to them, as I live, declares Yahuwah, as you have spoken in my hearing, so I do to you. The carcasses of you who have grumbled against me are going to fall in this wilderness.
Oh, they going to perish, little one, in the wilderness of the nations. All them grumblers, all them slanderers, all them whoremongers, they going to perish here. They're going to perish here in the wilderness of the nations. All those unbelievers, all those naysayers, all those unbelievers, they're going to perish here in the wilderness of the nations. Their carcasses, as the text reads, the body's going to be stacked up, bodies upon bodies, 1/3 year and 1/4 year. And if those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. They're going to perish here in the wilderness of the nations. They're going to perish here in the wilderness of the nations because they would not take heed. They would not repent. They would not truly seek the living bread. As our ancestors rejected the manna, rejected the living bread, they are rejecting the living bread, the manna here in the wilderness of the nations. Nothing new under the sun. They are still rejecting the living bread. They're still rejecting the manna. They're still rejecting the children's bread. They're still rejecting the seal of the living Elohim. They're still rejecting the Ruach HaKodesh because of their stiff-necked pride. Because of their stiff-necked pride. They want to act like something that they're not. They want to operate in falsehood and counterfeiting and religion, trying to be something that they're not. Instead of just keeping their mouths closed and being quiet and seeking the Master with all of their heart, mind, and strength. You see, these the ones, little one, you find they always talking. They always got something to say. Always talking. Not being calm, not being meek and quiet. Not being lamb-like. They always got something to say, little one. And they give themselves away. Unknowingly, they give themselves away. Now we're going to know something else, little one. Now they're going to turn around and they're going to be quiet. And they're going to give themselves away. Not knowing that they've already given themselves away by their running mouths. By the diarrhea of the mouth. They've already given themselves away. Now they're going to try and be quiet. And you're going to further give yourself away. Always doing something, always got to be out front. Trying to prove yourself. Instead of just being somewhere, just be quiet. Just hush. Just shut your mouth and be quiet and fall at the Master's feet. And let him deal with you. Let him heal you. Let him, through his compassion, keep you from the hour of trial. But no, you rather counterfeit. You'd rather try and fool someone. A time is coming when you're going to search for him. Then you're going to search for him, and he will not be found by you. As we're getting ready to read right here. After the children got this report from Moshe, then they wanted to seek him. Then they wanted to turn around. Then they wanted to go up the mountain, but no, it was too late. Once Yahudah has been removed from this earth, once the water has been shut off, once his breath has been removed, it's going to be too late. You're not going up. You're not going up. In the same way in which we're getting ready to read, as they were chased down, as hornets being chased down, you're going to be chased and destroyed. Because you refuse to humble yourself now and shut up. To be humble is to be quiet. Yes, it is. I'm not a smart man. But I know how to use Google. Go and use Google and type in the word humble, and one of the words that you're going to find is quiet. A humble man, a humble woman knows how to be quiet. It's not looking for attention. It's not, does not have mama daddy issues. We're called to be men and women. Grow up. Grow up. Or be corrected. Be corrected via the chastening rod of the great distress. The master's not going to warn you forever. Soon, his true people, Yahudah, is going to be taken from here. And all you counterfeits are going to be left with the nations to deal with the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon this earth. Come on, read, little one.
All of you who were registered according to your entire number, from 20 years old and above, none of you except Caleb, son of Yapanu, and Yahushua, son of Nun, shall enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in.
Now this is a shadow again, because both Yahudah and Ephraim are going to enter the land, but Yahudah will go first. As Caleb spoke first, Yahudah will go first. And Ephraim, as in the text has taught us, the younger daughter will then go after she has been corrected in the fires of the great distress, because the younger daughter, hear me, hear him, the younger daughter will not obey. The younger daughter does not believe. The younger daughter is operating according to the flesh. The younger daughter will not do the true works of the Torah. The younger daughter are counterfeits. They're fakes. They're counterfeits. For now, until they are corrected. Come on, read, little one.
But your little ones whom you said would become a prey, I shall bring in, and they shall know the land which you have rejected. But as for you, your carcasses are going to fall in this wilderness.
All because of unbelief. All because of unbelief. Not wanting to operate, not wanting to do the true works of the Torah. And you can't do the true works of the Torah without having belief. To fight a nation of giants and to do the true works of the Torah, right ruling, establishing righteousness in the earth, the only way to subdue a nation of giants is in Ruach, doing the true works of the Torah, with the master fighting with us. And the only way, again, to do the true works of the Torah is to have belief, like Caleb of the tribe of Yahudah had belief. Come on, read, little one.
And your sons shall be wanderers in the wilderness 40 years, and shall bear your horns until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness, according to the number of the days in which you spied out the land.
You're going to die in the wilderness of the nations because of your unbelief.
40 days, a day for a year. A day for a year you are to bear your crookedness 40 years. And you shall know my breaking off. I am Yahuwah, I have spoken, I shall do this to all this evil congregation who are meeting against me in the wilderness. They are consumed, and there they die. And the men whom Masha sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing an evil report of the land, even those men who brought the evil report about the land died by the plague before Yahuwah.
Died by the plague before Yahuwah. You ain't going up. You ain't going up. Yahudah goes first. But for Yahudah that goes first, Yahudah must look like Yahudah. Yahudah must walk as Yahudym. Yahudah must be Nazarene. Yahudah must do the true works of the Torah, like our father Caleb. Come on, read, little one.
Of those men who went to spy out the land, only Yahushua son of Nun and Caleb son of Yapanah remained alive. And when Masha spoke these words to all the children of Yasharal, the people mourned greatly. And they rose up early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, See, we have indeed sinned.
Too late. Too late. You're going to search for him then. But he will not be found by you. He will not be found. He's going to withdraw himself. You're going to search for him then. But it's going to be too late. Hear him. These messages are compassion. This is his compassion. He's giving you an opportunity. While there is still a window, while there's still a sealing and a separation going on in the midst of the earth. But once he is sealed, The number of the people that he is to seal in this season which he has declared is 144,000. And those who are attached to us, as he has shown us in the example of Caleb, who was not a natural born Yahudi. His descendancy came from Yahudym, came from Edom. But he is sealing those of the natural born, the natural born of 144,000, and those who are attached to us in this season, who would have the requisite belief, who would seek him with all of their heart, mind, and strength, and who would walk as Yahudym, who would walk worthily of their calling, and who are willing to do the true works of the Torah. But once he has sealed this number, he will seal no more. And you will search for him, and he will not be found by you. Read, little one.
But we shall go up to the place which Yahuwah had spoken of. But Moshe said, why do you now transgress the mouth of Yahuwah?
Why do you now transgress? He ain't going to be found by you. He's spoken to you. When he removes himself, removes his people, he's not going to be found by you. What does he say, little one? Here is the endurance of the Kadosh ones in Revelation 13. Here is the endurance of you now. Now you got to endure. Those of you who are to be led into captivity, in the captivity you must go. Those of you who are to be killed by the sword you must be killed. That's his word. You can't transgress that. That's his word. Because he gave you an opportunity now to hear his voice and not harden your heart. To hear his voice, but you would not hear and you would not repent. And thus, now it's too late. He will not be found by you for 3½ years. He will not be found during the fires of the great distress. He will not be found until the earth is darkened. And the only light that you're going to see is the light and the esteem of Hamashiach, whose feet is going to touch down on the Mount of Olives. Only then will you see him. Only then will he hear you. Only then, where it is written, and all who call on the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. Only then. Only then. But for 3½ years, he ain't going to hear you. You're going to search for him, and he will not be found by you. Come on, read, little one.
Since it does not prosper.
Since it does not prosper, read.
Do not go up, lest you be smitten by your enemies. For Yahuwah is not in your midst. Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites.
He's going to remove himself. He's going to remove his breath. He's going to remove his ruach from the earth. And he is not going to be in the midst of you. Seek him now. Attach yourself to true Yahudah. Flee from these Sanballats who are drawing you out to the valley of Onu, where you're going to find yourself saying, oh no, because you have been deceived into thinking that they are true Yahudi men and true Yahudi women. Seek out true Yahudah and understand what a true Yahudi man and a true Yahudi woman looks like. And you, Yahudah, had better be walking as one. You had better be doing the true works of the Torah, so that they may know who is true Yahudah and who is the deception, who is an eye for me. That's all right. I wanted you to keep reading.
Okay.
Barak Yahuwah. Come on, keep reading.
Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned away from Yahuwah. Yahuwah is not with you, but they presumed to go up to the mountaintop. But
they wanted to go up anyway. They tried to get to Zion anyway. After he withdrew himself, they tried to get there anyway. Come on, read. Just like Adam and Kua tried to get back into the garden, but there was a Malachim standing there with a flaming sword. He told them not to partake of the tree, not to partake of that fruit. He told them to. But despite that, they tried to get back anyway. But there was a messenger there with a flaming sword preventing their way in. You ain't getting to Zion. You're not getting there after he's withdrawn himself and has withdrawn his people. And you can listen to all these false prophets and false teachers that you want to. You ain't getting there. You're not getting there. You can listen to all these false prophets and false teachers talk about a second Exodus. There is no documentation of a second Exodus. It doesn't say second Exodus. Simply, Yahudah goes first. Yahudah will be brought to Mount Zion. And the rebels are going to perish in the wilderness of the nations. Those who do not believe and who refuse to do the true works of the Torah. Come on, read, little one.
But neither the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah nor Masha left the camp.
I ain't going with you. Come on, read.
So the Amalekites and the Canaanites who dwelt in the mountain came down and struck them and beat them down, even to Carmel. That's it.
Barak Yahudah. Barak Yahudah. Too late. Too late. The master's not going to be with you then, because you refuse. You refuse not to harden your heart during a time of visitation. You refuse not to harden your heart and to seek him so that you can be found worthy as walking as Yahudym, walking as Nazarene, doing the work while it is still day, understanding that night is coming when no man can work, doing the work of the Messiah, looking like him, walking like him, talking like him, being his bride, being his counterpart, his representation here on earth. Barak Yahuwah, how are we looking for time, little one? I don't want to keep them too long.
I'm scared to touch it. 116.
116. 116. I wanted to get to Matthew, but I don't know if we're going to get to Matthew again tonight, but okay. The master have his way. The master have his way. Give us another precept.
We got Hebrews 3, 7 to 19.
Hebrews chapter 3. Hebrews chapter 3. We must do the true works of the Torah, like our father Caleb, if we expect to go up. In this season, we must be found doing the true works of the Torah, which cannot be done outside of belief, and which cannot be done outside the indwelling of the Ruach HaKadosh, having the seal of the living Elohim upon our foreheads, having been born from Adam, from the second Adam, having been taken from his side, he being the branch, and as having been taken from his side, we then become branches. We become Nazarene. If we are Nazarene, all things are possible because we are an extension of him. But if we are not Nazarene, we cannot do the true works of the Torah. We cannot do the true works of the Torah. But even if we are true Nazarene, which makes us true Yahudah, it is belief that activates the true works of the Torah. It is belief that activates the true works of the Torah and will find us well-doing when he comes. Hebrews chapter 3. Abarim chapter 3. Hebrews chapter 3. What verses, little one?
7 through 19.
Verses 7 through 19. Hebrews chapter 3. Verses 7 through 19. Hebrews chapter 3. Verses 7 through 19. Hebrews, Abarim chapter 3, verses 7 through 19. Beginning at verse 7. Come on, read, little one.
Therefore, as the Kadosh Ruach says.
Listen, therefore, as the Kadosh Ruach says, read.
Today, if you hear his voice.
Today, if you hear his voice, Yahudah. Read.
Do not harden your hearts.
Do not harden your hearts. Read.
As in the rebellion.
As in the rebellion. In the wilderness. As in the rebellion. In the wilderness. And you are in the wilderness of the nations. And here in the wilderness of the nations, there's a great separation occurring in this season. He is separating those who have the seal of the living Elohim from the rebels right here in the wilderness of the nations. And here in the wilderness of the nations, there are many, many, many so-called Yahudym who are still hardening their hearts. Who are still hardening their hearts and who are going to perish here in the wilderness of the nations because of the hardness of their hearts. Come on, read, little one.
In the day of trial in the wilderness, where your fathers tried me, proved me, and saw my works 40 years.
Saw my works 40 years. Read.
Therefore I was grieved with that generation.
Therefore I was grieved with that generation. Hear him, Yahudah. Read.
And said, they always go astray in their heart.
They always go astray in their hearts. Unbelief proceeds from the heart. Read.
And they have not known my ways.
And they have not known my ways. They don't know the true works of the Torah. They don't know the true works of the Torah because they are not born of me. They must be born of me to know and to operate in the true works of the Torah, which is activated by belief. And to be born of me, they must humble themselves, because indeed meek and lowly is the way in which the Master Yahushua showed to us by example. Not only did he show us by example the true works of the Torah, but he showed us that meek and lowly is the way. But your heart is hardened because you will not humble yourself. You will not humble yourself, and you will not stop trying to pretend to be something that you're not. And you're hardening your heart, and you're not hearing his warnings, and you're not letting him heal you while there's still time to bring you into covenant with him, to bring you on board the ark, to prepare you to do the true works of the Torah in this season, so that we're found to be well-doing. You're too concerned with appearance, how men see you, how men perceive you. You're too concerned with doing your works before men so that they will think a certain way about you. You're too concerned with wanting a platform, with wanting importance, with wanting to be relevant. Where his true people in this season are humbling themselves before his feet and are being quiet. And just hushing and being quiet and seeking his face. Not concerned with how they're perceived. With just being quiet and seeking him to prepare them for the hour to come for Yahudah to stand up. And that hour is now. And to operate in the true works of the Torah. So that perhaps men will be drawn to his light through us. And that perhaps they will be drawn. They will escape the hour of trial, which is soon to come upon this earth. You're going to pay for this. You're going to pay for this because you're not putting others before yourselves. You're putting yourself out there because your low self-esteem causes you want to put yourself out there and put yourself on a platform, trying to fool people and leading them astray. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. Humble yourself and be quiet. And let the Master build you up so that you can do the true works of the Torah, which doesn't come from your filthy, wicked flesh. Come on, read, little one.
As I swore in my wrath.
As I swore in my wrath.
If they shall enter into my rest.
If they shall enter into my rest.
Look out, brothers.
Look out, brothers. They did not enter into his rest because of unbelief. They did not go up the mountain. They did not enter into Zion because of unbelief. We've got to be like Caleb, having a different rook about us. A different rook about us. Willing to do the true works of the Torah. And being filled with the Ruach HaKadosh. And being filled with belief. And being filled with compassion and humility. And willing to do the true works of the Torah. Being fueled from the motivation of compassion and love. Being fueled from the motivation of right ruling and compassion and belief. Come on, read, little one.
Lest there be in any of you a wicked heart of unbelief in falling away from the living Elohim.
Yes.
But encourage one another daily.
Yes.
While it is called today. Lest any of you be hardened by the deceivableness of sin. For we have become partakers of Mashiach. If we hold fast the beginning of our trust firm to the end.
Our trust, our belief firm to the end. Read.
While it is said today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as in the rebellion. For who, having heard, rebelled? Was it not all who came out of Mitzrayim?
Yes.
Led by Masha?
Yes.
And with him was he grieved 40 years?
Yes.
Was it not with those who sinned?
Yes.
Whose corpse fell in the wilderness?
Yes.
And to whom did he swear that they would not enter into his rest?
Yes.
But to those who did not obey.
But to those who did not obey, read.
So we see that they were unable to enter in because of unbelief.
But we see that they were not able to enter in because of unbelief. They were not able to go up to Mount Zion. We're not going up. None of us are going up Mount Zion without belief. None of us are going to Mount Zion without belief. And operating like Caleb, operating and doing the true works of the Torah. Hear him. Hear him. While it is still time. And while it is still time, do not harden your heart. None of us are going up to Mount Zion without belief. And he will not fill a wicked heart with belief. Let him deal with your wicked heart. Humble yourself. Let him deal with your wicked heart. Fall before his feet naked and let him cover your nakedness. And deal with your wickedness. Let him deal with your religion. Let him deal with your low self-esteem. Let him deal with your whoredom. Let him deal with your wickedness. Let him deal with it while there is still time. Do not harden your heart. And only after he has dealt with you will he give you living water. Will he give you the living bread? Will he fill you with belief? And will he equip you to do the true works of the Torah? The true works of the Torah. Not of the letter, but of the Ruach. The true works of the Torah. No longer be children. The true works of the Torah, not of this earth. The true works of the Torah, not of the letter. The true works of the Torah are of Ruach. Come on, read, little one.
Revelation 14, 1 through 5.
Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5. Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5. Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5. Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5. We got to have this on the proverbial Rolodex, little one, because Master has us read this a lot. But it bears repeating every single time that he has us to read it, or he has you to read it. It bears repeating. Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion.
Yes.
And with him 144,000.
Yahudym. Yahudym. Having gone up the mountain, doing the true works of the Torah, being equipped with belief. Come on, read.
Having his father's name written upon their foreheads.
Having been sealed with the Ruach HaKadosh. Having been sealed with the Father's name written upon their foreheads. Read.
And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps, and they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000. Who are redeemed from the earth. They are those who are not defiled with women, for they are maidens.
Yes.
They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on.
They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They follow him completely. As Caleb having a different Ruach, as these have a different Ruach, follow him completely. Completely, without wavering. Follow him completely, having a different Ruach, doing the true works of the Torah. Read.
They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood.
In their mouths was found no falsehood.
For they are blameless before the throne of Elohim.
They are perfect. They are blameless before the throne of Elohim. These are the descendants of Caleb, who follow the Master completely, who follow Yahuwah completely, having a different Ruach about us, having a different Ruach, equipped with clothed in Ruach, clothed in righteousness, clothed in belief, doing the true works of the Torah. The true works of the Torah. Give us that last precept, little one.
We got two more.
Oh, we got two more precepts. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, little one.
James 2:14-26.
Yahudah chapter 2. Yahudah chapter 2. I really want to get to Matthew, but we may not get to Matthew tonight. Yahudah chapter 2. Yahudah chapter 2. James chapter 2. James chapter 2. Yahudah chapter 2. James chapter 2. Verses 14 through 26. Verses 14 through 26. Yahudah, James chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. Beginning at verse 14. Read for us, little one.
My brothers, what use is it for anyone to say he has belief but does not have works?
My brother, what good is for you, Yahudah, to say that you have belief, but you're not doing the true works of the Torah? When he says works here, he's talking about the works of the Torah. But we now understand that this is the true works of the Torah that the Master wants us to operate in, because the true work, doing the true works of the Torah is not of flesh and blood. James didn't operate in flesh and blood. Yahudah didn't operate in flesh and blood. He operated in Ruach. So what good is it to say that you have belief if you don't have the true works of the Torah? Yahudah, what good is it? Read, little one.
This belief is unable to save him.
Disbelief is unable to get you to Mount Zion. It's unable to deliver you from the hour of trial. It's unable to save you and to deliver you from the hour of trial. Come on, read, little one.
And if a brother or sister is naked and in need of daily food?
What if there's no food? What if there is no food? Like the feeding of the multitude. You still got to operate in the Torah. You still got to do Torah. You still got to do the true works of the Torah. If a brother and sister is naked or hungry and without daily food, read.
But one of you says to them, go in shalom, be warmed and be filled.
Go in shalom. We ain't got no food either. Go in shalom. I don't have any extra clothes. Go in shalom, be warm and be fed. But you supposedly are clothed in the Ruach. You clothed in the same Ruach which indwelled the Messiah. You clothed in the same righteousness. You are a branch of his, and as he is, you are. No, you feed them, and in the words of the Master, you feed them. You feed them. You clothe them. Do the true works of the Torah. Come on, read.
But you do not give them the bodily needs. What use is it?
What use is your belief? You say you believe? Then operate in the true works of the Torah. If you don't, what good is our belief? What good is it? We must be grown. This message is not for children. This is, if you got children here, this ain't for children. You need to monitor what your children watch. This is not for children. Those of you of the nations, this is not for children. This is not a message for children. This is a message for those who are either grown or for those who want to be grown. He's calling for grown people. He's calling for Yahudah to stand up and do the true works of the Torah. If you want to go first, if you want to get to Mount Zion, if you want to go first, he's calling for us to have a different Ruach about us and do the true works of the Torah. Read.
So also belief, if it does not have works.
So also belief, if it does not have works, is what?
Is in itself dead.
Is in itself dead. It's in itself dead. Your belief, if you don't have the true works of the Torah, is dead. It's dead. It's dead. Come on, read, little one.
But someone might say, you have belief and I have works. Show me your belief without works.
Show me your belief without works. Come on.
And I shall show you my belief by my works.
And I shall show you my belief by my works. In the words of the Messiah, if you don't, I'm paraphrasing. Don't believe me because of what I say, but believe me because of what? Because of the works that I do. Is that not what he said, little one? Believe me because of the works that I do. We've got to grow up and no longer be children. I said we. We've got to grow up and no longer be children and do the true works of the Torah. There are lives that are at stake. There are lives that are at stake. Come on, read.
You believe that Elohim is one?
You believe that Elohim is one.
You do well.
You do well.
The demons also believe and shudder.
The demons also do. Demons also do and shudder. Read.
But do you wish to know, O foolish man?
But do you wish to know, O foolish man,
that the belief without the works is dead?
that belief without works is dead?
Was not Abraham our father declared right by works?
Was not Abraham declared right by the works of the Torah? Yes, he was. Read.
When he offered Ishak his son on the slaughter
When he
place?
offered Ishak on the slaughter place. Read.
Do you see that the belief was working with his works?
The belief was working with his works. He believed. And his works proved that he believed. His works proved that he believed. Come on, read.
And by the works the belief was perfected.
And
the scripture was filled which says, Abraham believed Elohim, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness. And he called him he who loves Elohim.
And he called them he who loves Elohim. Now listen, if you are a Christian perhaps listening on via YouTube, do not misunderstand me. The Torah has not been thrown away. The letter, much of it, most of it, has none of it has been thrown away. None of it has been thrown away. Not even sacrificial offerings. It has simply been moved from the earth to the Shamayim from whence it came from in the first place. The Torah has not been done away with. The Master has simply sent me by to speak to his people, that to get them to understand that the Torah is not of this earth, and to do the true works of the Torah. We must operate in Ruach. We must operate in Ruach and by belief. Do not misconstrue what his servant is saying. You must still guard his Shabbat day. You must still make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. Do not misconstrue what you hear his servant saying. But in doing good works, and feeding the hungry, and giving drink to them, and raising the dead, and healing the sick, and casting out devils, this is Torah. This is the works of Torah. This is compassion. This is loving your neighbor as yourself. This is the true works of the Torah, which cannot be done in the flesh. Which cannot be done in the flesh. Come on, read, little one.
You see then that a man is declared right by works.
The man is declared right by works. You want to get to Mount Zion? You will be found well doing when he comes. But because he's coming quickly. And his reward is with him, to reward each according to his works. To the true righteous works of Torah. Because of the true, he's going to reward each according to the true righteous works of Torah that he or she is doing. Read, little one.
And not by belief alone. In the same way was not Rahab the whore also declared right by works, when she received the messengers and sent them out another way. For as the body without the Ruach is dead.
Hear him. Hear him. Hear the comparison. Hear the comparison. For as the body without Ruach is dead, is a dead, stinking thing. The body without breath, without the breath of the living Elohim, without the Ruach HaKadosh, as the body without Ruach is dead, whether or not you appear to be alive or not, without a Ruach, you are living dead. A dead, stinking thing. For as the body without Ruach is dead,
so also the belief is dead without the works.
So also the belief is dead without works. We're talking about the true works of the Torah. We're talking about the true works of the Torah. True belief is fueled by Ruach. True belief is fueled by Ruach. And the true works of the Torah is fueled by Ruach. Don't get it twisted. We ain't doing nothing. We have done nothing. We do nothing. We're just vessels. We're just hired servants. We're just vessels. We do nothing. We are just his Shabbat, of which he uses to walk to and fro in the earth to exact right ruling and judgment, and to do the true works of the Torah through us. Through us. All you got to have is belief. Believe that he can do the true works of the Torah through you. Little one, we in and of ourselves cannot command a mountain to be removed and it be removed into the sea. It is the Master, through our belief in him, through our belief in his power, through our belief in his indwelling spirit in us, to do what we ask him to do through our belief, to activate his power. It is that causes that mountain to fall into the sea. It is the master that raises the dead through us. It is the master who heals the sick. It is the master who casts out devils, which is vessels. He just asks that we believe that he can do that through us. He just asks that we be willing earthen vessels and just have the belief that he is in us and that he is with us, and that requested from the right place and requested from belief, he will do what we ask him to do. Don't get this twisted. We've been taken from esteem to esteem. We ain't gonna be like him until we put off this flesh. We won't be like him until the earth and the Shamayim has been removed, and there's a renewed earth and a renewed Shamayim. Only then will we be truly like him. And when we rule, will we truly rule with him. As of now, he is doing the work through this filthy flesh. Ain't nothing good about this flesh. Don't fool yourself. There's nothing good about this flesh. But he, our compassionate Father, has chosen to dwell in this flesh, in this fallen flesh, to do great works, to do the great works of the Torah, provided that through his Ruach, we put this filthy flesh under subjection, and we obey him, we obey his Torah, and we have the belief to allow him to do those greater works, to do the greater true works of the Torah through us. That ought to make it easy, don't it, little one? It ain't you. It's not me. It's our belief in him, in his ability, in his power, in his indwelling Ruach, to do those greater works through us, through our belief in him. Come on, read, little one.
Habakkuk 2 and 4. That's the last one.
Habakkuk, how we looking for time, little one?
That thing's in front of it. I don't want to touch it. 144.
144. I'm going to try. I'm going to attempt to read one chapter, Matthew. I'm going to attempt to, unless the master shuts this down.
Okay.
Habakkuk. But all through Matthew and all through the Bashorah, the master, he shows us the true works of the Torah. For those who have an eye of light, who have an eye of understanding. You understand when you read the words of the master in the Bashorah, when you see his walk, when you see his works in the Bashorah, that he's operating in Torah, that he's doing the true works of the Torah. That's all Torah that he's doing. It's all Torah. It's all Torah. But the world has been programmed through religion to see these things and to think that he wasn't operating in Torah, that he wasn't keeping the Torah, that he came to form some new religion called Christianity. He did not. He did not. He's shown us that Nazarene, branches of the branch, we obey Torah. We keep Torah. Not only do we do so, but we keep it in Ruach and in truth. And we do the true works of the Torah. But we have an eye to understand. He's given us eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a heart to understand, provided that he has. Provided that you are Nazarene. He has given you eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to understand. Habakkuk chapter what, little one?
2.
Chapter 2, verse
4.
Verse 4. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Verse 4. Reading verse 4, read, little one.
See, he whose being is not upright in him.
See whose being is not upright in him. See whose being is not upright in him. Read.
Is puffed up.
Is puffed up. We see that in the midst of the earth. We see it in the midst of us. We see it in the midst of social media. They are puffed up. They're only concerned about being seen. They're concerned with receiving their rewards now. Receiving their rewards now. And most, if not all of them, they don't have belief. They are Ephraim, they're children. They don't have the belief. They want to fool you into thinking that they have belief. They want to walk amongst us as though they are one of us, and they want to fool you into attaching yourselves to them. They are Sanballats. They are Sanballat to Nehemiah, to Nehemiah, saying, "Come, let us meet in the valley of Ono, so that we may speak." If you go, you're going to find yourself in the valley of Ono saying, "Oh no, how did I end up in the great distress?" But they are puffed up. They are lifted up. Their beings are lifted up and they're puffed up. You see them. They want platforms. They want importance. They want relevance. They want everything, but the truth. They don't truly want the master. They don't truly want living bread. They want acclamation. They want affirmation from men. They don't seek it from the master. They'd rather seek it from men in order to appease their wicked flesh. In order to appease their wicked flesh. Watch out for them. Look at the fruit. Always be a tester of fruit. Because a true Nazarene, a true Yahudi, in the words of the master, cannot bear bad fruit. As a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a rotten tree cannot bear good fruit. Recognize the fruit. This season is too important. Come on, read, little one.
But the righteous one shall live by his belief.
But the righteous one, and the operative word is this: the righteous one shall live. This is the operative word. The righteous one shall live by his belief. You want to escape the hour of trial? We've got to operate in belief. It is belief that activates the true works of the Torah. It is these true works of the Torah that the master is looking for when he returns to gather his elder daughter, his elder son, who have a different root about them, like Caleb, having a different root about them, doing the true works of the Torah like our master Yahusha. The true works of the Torah like Caleb and like Yahusha and like Masha, like Abraham, like Iskak, like Yaakov, like all Yahu, like all Isha, like many of our righteous fathers. Doing the true works of the Torah like Yashayahu, like Ishayahu. The true works of the Torah. It is these that he is looking for when he returns. It is true Yahudah, who in the spirit of Caleb said, "Let us go up. Let us go up. If the master has given this land to us, he's promised this land to us, like he has said, let us go up. It is surely ours." Indeed, Yahudah will go first. Yahudah will go first. Those who are found well doing, who are doing the true works of the Torah, like we find in all the Bashorah, in the works of our master, and in the works of our righteous fathers, and in the works of the true Nazarim, of the taught ones, of the Talmudim, who went to the uttermost parts of the world, operating in the true works of the Torah. We're called in this season, in this special appointed time, to operate and do the true works of the Torah. We're not going to get to Matthew this night, Matak Yahu this night. The hour grows late, and we're already approaching 2 hours. Yahuwah willing, we'll continue the book to study the master steps in the book of Matak Yahuwah Matthew this coming Shabbat. But as for this evening, I think he's laid the foundation going forward once again. He's laid different foundations. If you've been listening, he's been laying different foundations with respect to this walk of walking as Yahudym. This night he's laid the foundation of belief. We must have belief in order to do the true works of Torah, in order to be found well doing in the work that he has given for us. Thank you, Master, for this word that you've spoken this night. Thank you for giving your servant strength to speak these words, Master. May we all be found well doing. May we all be found doing the true works of the Torah when you come, Master. Please, Master. May we all be found doing the true works of the Torah when you come, so that you will reward us according to our works. And like Caleb, bring us into the land. Bring us to Mount Zion, and being the first to be brought into the land where those who say that they're Yahudym will recognize then what a true Yahudi looks like. It is my prayer, Master, that this word has gone forth to the four corners of the earth.
Yes.
That it has gone forth as a hammer that shatters, shattering both chain and shackle, shattering both hard ground, such that that ground has been broken up to be made conducive to the receiving of seed, the engrafted word of the living Elohim, so that you would come forth, Master, and pour out living water upon that seed, such that it will grow forth and produce fruit, the fruit of righteousness, the fruit of the works of Torah, the true works of Torah that leads to everlasting life. It is my prayer that this seed, that this word that has been thrown this night by this sower has not fallen by the wayside, and that none has fallen on shallow soil or shallow ground, and that none has fallen amongst thorns, but that again this word has fallen on good soil, broken up soil, soil that is fertilized and tilled, ready for the receiving of seed. Let not one word return void to you, Master, but let it go forth and accomplish that which you have sent it forth to do. In the name of my Master and our Master, Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it, so be it, so be it. For those of you who are on YouTube, once again, we're grateful that you stopped by on this fourth night to join Yahuwah's remnant on our fourth day gathering. Once again, we pray that you have been edified. We pray that you have been challenged. We pray that you have been shaken up. We pray that you have been encouraged. We pray that you would continue to join us, but we pray more that that you have not hardened your heart, that these words are falling on good soil, that you will seek the Master now while he may be found by you, so that he may fill you. He may fill you with his ruach, with his breath, so that he may fill you with belief, and so that you may do the true works of the Torah. The true works of the Torah, not by power, not by might, but by his ruach. Understanding that the letter still kills, but the ruach, it is the ruach who gives life. Until the next time, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it. Shalom.
Shalom.